Click, watch, and connect. This is Hope Tinambakan, and you are watching live at OceanClick TV. Hello, everyone. This is part two of OceanClick TV Pride Month special. And today, we have very special guests, and we will be talking about Pride Month related topics and specifically on the struggles of the LGBTQ plus community from a more personal level to a more global perspective. And why is it important to celebrate Pride Month? Joining with us in this discussion are three beautiful individuals, and we are very honored to have them with us tonight. First, we have with us Cleo Amparo, who is one of our OceanClick virtual specialists, and who is also a college instructor at Negros Oriental State University. We also have Renz Torres, who is a fictionist and an award-winning food writer. Wow! And finally, we have Professor Rosales Casocot, who is a graphic artist. Honor for us to have you, and this is going to be a very interesting discussion because we will be talking about our Pride Month movement here in the locality, and at the same time, how do we relate it to a more global movement. So, but before that, I would like to ask the three of you, because I was asked just recently by a friend, what is Pride Month? Why do we celebrate that? Is that for LGBTQ plus members only? So I had to explain a little bit, but I want to also hear from you. For you, what is Pride Month? What is the importance of celebrating Pride Month in June? Can I ask Cleo first?
Yeah. So for me, Pride Month is a month of celebration and support for our LGBTQ plus community.
I like that term, support, celebration, and support. I think those are two very beautiful words to describe this month. Can I ask who would want to go first?
Yeah, I'd like to go.
Okay, go.
Because I'm meaning to say something. I can only speak from my own perspective and how I got into the whole movement. Okay. Um, I've always I've always thought of Pride Month as a movement for visibility. You know, the way we talk about the issues that concerns the LGBT community in the community, and of course relating it to the global, to the global situation. The way we do the parades, the way we choose certain activities to kind of highlight the life and the culture of the LGBTQ. For me, that's all about visibility. And I have always designed the events that we do in Dumaguete in terms of that. We need to be visible. We need to put out our voice out there because we have been a marginalized sector for such a long time. Only now have we begun doing this. This was something unheard of 10 years ago.
That's so true.
So when I began doing this, especially in 2018, it was really for that particular purpose, visibility.
Wow, visibility and for our voices to be heard
Yes.
finally. I would like to ask further about that. You telling us that this is your reason why you get into this movement. I will ask more about that later. Let's hear from Renz first.
I'd like to say that first and foremost, Pride is a protest. It started off that way. And because of what had happened in 1969 in New York, slowly the world has like begun to be more and more in tune, or we've begun to like stop with keeping quiet and being invisible and being talked. Ability is one, and the partying is part of the project, but it has started off as a protest and it continues to be so.
Yes, thank you. So for Cleo, this is like a show of support, and for Ian, like to say hi, we're here, visibility, and to show the culture and to show our whatever that LGBTQ plus community can offer. And of course, we have to remember that this really was the inspiration of Pride Month is really coming from struggle,
Yes.
from a protest.
Yes.
Can you quickly tell us more about that? Just a little background of why we celebrated in June. Because if I'm not mistaken, this is from the Stonewall.
Yes.
He knows more about the
Yes.
history. He knows more about
Yes.
the history.
Since I teach queer history and literature,
Love
maybe
it.
I should be the one to explain this. This all began, guys, in June 28th.
Which is
Uh,
today.
Today.
Yeah, June 28th, 1969. There was a bar in New York called the Stonewall Inn. It was the place, the venue for all the drag queens, all the trans women. Uh, After they would party, they would come to this bar and celebrate. But what was happening then was that it was a regular thing for the police to raid that
Raid.
particular bar and arrest everyone. So can you imagine all these drag queens with all their makeup on there and their wigs and their gowns, and then they took it as a normal thing but to get arrested regularly? Which is actually, which was actually funny because they barricaded the police inside the bar and they were outside and they refused to let the police in. And the riot was composed of like a tiny group of a small group of people. It wasn't in a crowd, and then it became bigger and bigger, and it became a riot that I think lasted for 3 days. So that was the origin of Pride. And then the very next year, there was a lesbian activist who took inspiration of what happened the previous year and began the so-called uh, gay rights movement parade. Okay? It was just a small parade, I think around Central Park. And every year it became bigger and bigger and it spread internationally. And so that has become an inspiration and we're doing it in Dumaguete. We actually started Pride in terms of that particular spectacle. We started it only in 2011.
2011. That's
2011.
like 10
I
years.
think you were around. Okay.
I probably was.
And it wasn't even in June.
Oh.
We did the first Pride March in Dumaguete in December 2011. And it was because this Dumaguete City Health Office invited one of our friends, si Mars Edding,
Mm.
to the Dumaguete City Health Office wanted to have a World AIDS Day parade. And so it was a very, very long parade, and they wanted to have one particular segment devoted to the LGBTQ in the community. So they just invited Mars Edding to invite other people to join in that December World AIDS Day parade. And
December
the
1, right?
LGBTQ people said, you know what? They invited us to this parade.
Might
Why
as
not
well.
make this our first Pride parade? So we came with colorful costumes. We carried the Pride flag, and that became the first Pride parade in the West. Saling pusa lang, okay? We were just joining a bigger parade, and it became bigger. Not necessarily June. Sometimes we did the parade in July. Sometimes in August. Eventually, we did it for the first time ever in June in 2018.
2018. I think I was there.
Yeah. No, you were in 2017. We have a picture
Oh.
together.
Yeah, the timeline.
Okay. So the first time we did it in June was in 2018. And then 2019. And then, of course, the pandemic happened and we didn't have this for 2 years. So now we're starting to get back to the flow of things again, restarting in 2022. With the pandemic still around
Sure.
us, but I think we feel relatively safer now to go
With
about
the vaccine.
the old,
Yeah.
the old
I
way.
see in the news that the Pride Month celebrations around the world are so, like you know that the LGBTQ plus community members are so hungry for these parades. We're not having it for 2 years due to the pandemic. So everybody's out now, pun intended. All right. So speaking of the word out, it's a very familiar word in
Familiar.
the gay community. People always talk about discovering your identity, and of journey, and then you join the community, and then you realize that it's actually a global movement. But I want to ask you first on your personal experience growing up. Maybe we can start with Cleo. How was it growing up, learning that or when did you learn about it? Like when did you discover that you were a member of the
So as a kid, like I really like to hang out with my guy cousins. So of course they are boys, and I realized that I don't like to wear skirts,
LGBT?
dresses. But of course I can wear them if like I really need to. It's because of course in the society they always view girls like, oh, you're a girl, so you should wear skirts, you should wear blouses, you should wear dresses. So for me, like, oh, okay,
Get
but
confused.
I really like to like be myself. So when I was in elementary, my classmate, my all of my classmates used to tease me about, oh, why are you so boyish? Like, why do you like to hang out with us? I just ignored those pieces or my feeling that I I think there's something different
Something different.
within me. So I reached high school, and then that's when I started to acknowledge the feeling that, oh, I like girls.
When you say acknowledge, what was the what do you call that? What was the trigger, or what was the turning point?
The turning point.
I just started to acknowledge. I mean, the feeling is I don't want to deny it anymore.
So the physical attraction
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
this emotional thing are coming out.
But the funny thing was when I was also still in high school, there is this handsome boy.
Interesting.
I got attracted to him, but there is this also feeling like a major part of me is really attracted to girls.
It's always very interesting to listen to LGBTQ members' stories of discovering, because because as she said, um, there's the part wherein you realize that society has certain standards and you feel so confused. Why? Why are these things, sorry, so
Well, we do have similarities, but looking back, um, admittedly, from grade 1 to grade 6, I had a crush on a girl named Daisy May Gomez. I'm naming
hi,
her.
shout out to you.
Hi, Dates. Classmate tayo. Okay. And but looking back to that particular crush, it was a long 6 years of having a crush with this girl. I had such a crush on her that I would actually stalk her. I would like follow her when she goes home, which is so bad. Don't do that, okay? So, but
Creepy.
I thought I was in love with this girl for 6 years. But looking back to that particular crush right now, I probably was probably trying to conform to what was expected of me. So when I crushed on a girl, it felt normal because what I also want to reveal is the fact that during those years when I had a crush on that particular girl, she was very very pretty. I also had feelings for boys that I would see, and but I didn't know how exactly to express
Mhm.
myself. Like I remember going to church once, and there was like a choir from a kids choir from Manila who came to sing at that particular church, and I remembered looking at this one particular boy, and I was just like, but I had no words for what I was feeling. I just found him so pretty that when they had another concert in another church, I followed the choir, but I had no words for accepted because that was heteronormativity. There was already a word for it, and it was what was accepted in society. So I guess I could fully form my thoughts about that crush on the girl because that was expected of me. But that crush on that particular boy, totally ephemeral. And I only realized it, oh my God, that was actually major. That was my trigger.
Mm-hmm.
I
Your
saw that
catalyst.
boy, my catalyst, and
There's always that one
I
spark.
guess I was so in love with him, and here I am.
Just quickly, just for the sake of our audience who might not be familiar with the terminologies, just quickly define what is heteronormativity. Some mouthful.
Heteronormativity is the culture we are all born in. It's like we are all expected to be heterosexuals and to conform to specific ideas of masculinity and femininity. So, for example, before a boy is born to some lucky parents, they would think of that boy as straight, so they would buy him, I don't know, toy trucks, paint the bedroom blue, and so on and so forth. And if it's a girl, paint the bedroom pink and buy dolls and whatsoever, and then to expect that particular child to grow up heterosexual, to fall in love, a boy falling in love with a girl and a girl falling in love with a boy. The expectations that we are born into society, that's what we call heteronormativity.
Heteronormativity.
And it's worth noting that that culture is fairly new. Like about 100 years ago, there
There was no
wasn't
such
such a case. Yeah, like pink was assigned for boys, and green and blue was assigned
For
for
girls.
girls. And normally, kids were even like usually wearing white because white was not just a sign of purity and innocence, but also it was easier to clean.
Mm.
So these ideas of boyhood and girlhood were only new phantom ideas that was concocted by our colonizers.
Probably. No, that's true. I just read about it actually. That that before blue was assigned for girls and pink was assigned for boys because pink is a more attractive color. So that's why I'm very confused about this. No, not confused, but I'm really questioning this
Curious.
tradition of gender reveal.
Ah.
When even before you were born, your color has already been determined for you. Like boy should be blue and girl should be pink. But if it turns out your kid is
But
gay,
remember,
so
Or your
this
kid
is
is-
more nuanced than that. If we need to talk about all of these issues,
I know,
gender
right?
and sexuality, they're
Completely
different things.
different.
And we
Yeah.
talk about the soji.
Yeah.
Soji. So this is a very, 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 very broad topic as well. So and I think it's worth one episode.
Yes.
Soji should be worth one episode. Yeah, that would be a very important thing to discuss. But no, quickly, maybe quickly, just quickly, just for
Sexual orientation and gender identity and expression. And this kind of describes like a series of spectra that describes things like sexual orientation, your sex, your gender expression, and there are even more from there. Pero we can cap it there muna, for now. And these are like spectrums of not just like for sex, for example. There's female and male. There's a middle part that's kind of blurry and weird and like fantastic.
the X, Y,
called,
Y, Y, X,
like
X, X. No.
and intersex, yes. And that's just one spectrum of
Gender.
like that's gender. Well, see, even I got confused. So it's a lot.
It's a lot. Like what when I
Yes,
get
yes.
asked,
So there's gender, so cis male, cis female, and then there's all the rest.
yes,
Like the trans,
Transgender.
the intersex, and so on and so forth. So and then there are also people who were born male but feel they identify as female, and those who are born female but they identify as male. So it's a
The
very
spectrum in
complex
the middle.
spectrum.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
And
I
then
always.
there's also sexual identity.
That's true.
Okay,
Who are you
because
attracted to?
who are you attracted to? So if you're straight or gay or bisexual and
And
everything
everything in
else,
Everything
in
in
the pan.
between.
So sexual identity, sexual expression, and gender. That's different things.
Yes, it is.
I guess the point here is that this is what I tell my friends when they get so confused, because I get confused as well with all this terminology. So what I tell them is that just understand that there's a spectrum. There's no girl boy. There's girl boy and so many things in between. Just understand that. So we cannot just assume that this person is this and that. Sometimes, or most of the time, or what the proper thing to do is to really let or allow the person decide or identify her or himself
When they're comfortable.
when they're comfortable. You don't just go and budget you're gay or distributed.
Oh yeah.
What I remember though from J. Neil Garcia, the famous author of the famous editor of the world-renowned anthology Ladlad, especially in terms of sexual identity, whether you're gay or straight, according to him, because the thing is, we come from a long culture that thinks, for example, that if you are gay, this is the old style of thinking, huh? That if you are gay and you are born male, you are actually if you are gay, you want to become a woman.
Hmm.
That has always, or and then the opposite, with lesbians, like you know, so,
If you
and
are
that is the
born,
old
yeah.
style of thinking. You want to be a woman, but that's not really the case. But what, according to J. Garcia, the one way that you can really tell what your sexual identity is actually something secret. Does that make you straight? No. Okay,
Desire.
it's your desire. Like when you when you when you have salacious thoughts,
Salacious
what is the
thoughts.
gender of that object of desire that's in your head? So that's actually can be secret that you can keep to yourself, but you can act very, very masculine, but actually be gay because your desire confirms your sexual identity. Okay, so it's not your action. It's not even dress. It's not even the sexual act. Because you can have, if you're a man and then you have sex with another man, that doesn't make you gay. Because there are many cultures in the world where that is totally accepted. Now, a straight man can have sex with another man, does not make him gay. So dress, action, sex, they do not count in your sexual identity. What counts
Is
is
your
desire.
desire. Remember that, okay? All right. So yeah, I mean we are discussing all these things now that we understand it as adults. But as Cleo mentioned earlier, when you are growing up and no one really can explain to you all these things, it's really confusing.
Yes.
I just want to ask specifically for Cleo, if you can remember growing up, what was the biggest, maybe the most memorable struggle that you had? Is it with family?
Okay, so the greatest struggle that I've ever had so far is when your closest friends will
Ah,
be your critics. But I don't understand why. It's because, we're close, we are best friends. Then when I turn my back, then you would say something like they were just pretending that,
that they understand.
yeah,
That they know.
that they understand me, that they actually accept me who I am, then I would know. Yes.
That can be very painful because I can relate to your story. But on the opposite, and what happened is the opposite is that I did not tell my friends about my my sexuality and all that, and they felt so bad. They not in our term, we call it ng luod. That why as friends I was not I was not being honest with them.
You don't believe in coming out.
That's the fact. So I explained to them, and they were fine. And they were fine. But that's true. That sometimes the people you expect
Yeah, be
to
there for
understand,
you,
to be there for you. I think I believe every gay stories have that kind of um, experience.
But we also need to accept the fact that people are not cookie cutter figures, that they do have an art, how they being gay or being lesbian and so on and so forth. For example, I won't mention the name, our friend, an artist with very, very talented friend. I remember him coming out. He was my student. And everybody in his family, his mother, his father, his sister, whom he was very, very close to, so angry at him for doing that, for disrupting their family, their family life. But now, oh my God, they're the most supportive parents. This friend of ours, and the sister is the most supportive sister that this friend of ours has had. Like, they are so. He has a boyfriend. I think they're getting married, and the entire family has embraced, him and his boyfriend, together. And that was in total opposite of how they felt when he first came out. So sometimes we need to kind of allow them the leeway of
Yes.
like,
That's so
you
true.
know, how they were expected to be in a heteronormative society.
That's true.
So,
So I guess
allow them to be human.
So I guess my question now, Cleo, is that how are you now with those friends?
Oh, we're fine. We're fine.
We're fine. You're fine. Okay. So probably they've also, they went through also their own
Journey.
their own journey of also learning,
Yes.
not only from us, but also learning from
From media.
from media.
Yeah.
I think that's why I think the movement is very important, so that it will not just be about Cleo, but about a bigger community that you have to understand. That how was it here in the locality when you started with the movement, and how is it now? In what, 10 years since we?
Well, I just said it started in 2011, but I was really involved in 2018. Because
How's the community and the public
the
reaction?
response has been tremendous. Like, we actually have so many allies,
Yeah.
and then sometimes I kind of question it.
That
Which
is-
are they here because it's trendy to be
Yeah.
an ally? Oh yeah, because it surprises me that there's such a huge community out there, not necessarily LGBTQ, who are there to support us, who are there to join the parades, who
Yes.
fight for us, who help
Yes.
organize events for us. So, and that has always been there actually since the very beginning, even in 2011. Like allies, that has surprised me. So, and it has not changed actually. And then younger and younger people are joining.
Yes.
So, I'm happy about that. But okay, maybe this is another idea. So maybe
My bad.
Because my involvement started in college, joining kind of like the first LGBTQ organization in my university. And when we started out and when we began organizing like pride events and pride parades, it was our straight allies who were the most visible and the most who vocal and the most who wanted to go to these events. Because I could also see on the flip side that like the people who weren't like out, they were, I guess, culturally discouraged from going.
yeah.
And even with more straight people, straight allies who wanted to show up for the LGBTQ community, maybe they've occupied that space, that safe space that is supposed to be for the community. So like the visibility for gay people has been like a challenge, and especially because like these nuanced new ideas of being queer kind of springs from Western ideas that their local gay like idea, pagiging bakla or being bayot, they don't fit in. So there's also that aspect of like merging the two together and other aspects of being gay, being trans, being queer, being a lesbian, being all of that. Because like our one of our main like similarities with each other is that maybe we aren't super accepted in the world. Um, so I guess going back to your question of
The, how's it?
invisibility,
And
Even 10
taboo.
years ago.
and even 10 years ago, very taboo. But like with media nowadays, not just international but local media, like we have vloggers online who talk about their daily local experiences. And then now being queer is
We're here.
yeah,
doing this
we're
interview.
visible.
Talking.
That's a huge change.
That's a
That's
huge
true.
change.
Yeah.
I'd be very honest with you. Yeah, when I was in college, that was like about 20 years ago. I just had a conversation with a friend like 3 days ago, and he called you really a trailblazer in the Dumaguete gay community because when we were in college, a professor from Silliman University having a gay relationship was a big thing. Like everyone was like,
Bombshell.
Well, to be honest, when I was still a college student in the 1990s, I think I was part of a couple that was probably the first openly gay couple in campus.
mhm.
I mean, everybody knew about us.
And it was a big
Although-
thing.
It was a
and-
big thing.
It was a big thing, so much so that I got called up by my dean. My dean asked me to see her in her office to explain what was my relationship with this particular boy.
Oh,
And then
And
of
I
course,
knew the homophobia behind that particular query. So I just gave her the answer that would make her comfortable. Like, we're just best friends. Okay. But at that time we were groundbreaking for being the first openly gay couple in campus. That was in the mid 1990s. Mail for it. People will talk behind that and behind your back about it.
and the guilt.
Yeah, and so if you live it openly, parade your loved one to your colleagues and everybody else,
Take it or leave
they
it.
don't have any more reason to talk about you because
That's true.
you are demonstrating in front of them
Who
what
you
you are
are.
not hiding.
Yeah.
That's so true.
So I've always tried to live with that particular principle. Be open as much as possible to nip whatever scandal or whatever
That is
bad talk can be gleaned or can be had because of this particular life. That I
Mhm. The process may not be as easy for some.
But
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
privileged though. I know I'm privileged. Privileged because I come from a particular social class. I come with a particular education, and most of all, I have a very very thick skin, and I have theater background. So those things kind of help me deal with the things that not many people probably can pull off.
yes.
But I guess that's exactly the importance of the movement.
Yes.
The Pride Month celebration, our Pride Month, our events, that we are heard, we are seen, that the local community would see that we are here. Because 20 years ago, as you mentioned, it's like an open secret, but still a secret.
Yeah.
But now it's in the open, take it or leave it, but we are alive, we will spread colors.
But I need to take note though that my heavy involvement only came in 2018. I mean, I was already part in the 2017, 2016, whatever Pride events that we did, but we only did parades before 2018. Okay, from 2011 to 2017, just parades, and not even during June. It was August or July or December. Okay, what galvanized me to take charge in 2018 was actually anger. Anger. You know why? I think there was like a cultural show at the Louvre, and then during the particular cultural show, people talking in the lobby, and then I learned that one of my he wasn't even a close friend. We were close acquaintances,
Acquaintances.
but he was very very popular in Dumaguete. He was a very handsome, very very popular dancer. Belonged to a very very popular group. Let's not name that group because they're very 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 popular. He got sick, and although nobody really knew exactly what was wrong with him, we kind of knew in the community that he had AIDS. Okay, and I learned what happened to him. Like when he was suffering to that particular, it was a very very fast disease. Like mga 5 months before, he looked healthy, then suddenly he was very very frail. And according to friends, he was gaunt. He was so sick, and his parents treated him badly. He was not permitted to have friends. He was not given the right medication to survive that particular disease, and he died in the most horrible way ever. And I was so angry that how dare these people, even though they're family, this guy's family, how dare these people make this guy suffer like that? Yeah, May. And I was like, okay, June is next month. We need to do something. We cannot just do parades. Let's do a set of activities that will make us visible, that will cater to the life, the issues, the culture
The
of being
education.
LGBTQ. Let's make it a month-long event that will really, really imprint our our culture, our life on our community. Let's make it a Pride Month and not just a Pride Parade. Okay, so that was when we suddenly had all of these activities. We had panels on LGBTQ and faith, panels on mental health. We had a drag show. We had so many events for the first time ever in 2018, and that has become the template in 2019 and this year. So, and what drove me to do that was anger. I was so angry about my friend being treated this way by his family. And I bet there are so many other LGBTQ out there who are suffering the same
Exactly.
way. They didn't have a community. Only if we only had a community then, to help him out, probably we could have helped him.
That
Who
is so
knows?
true.
And that particular year, I really tried to design all the events that one of the primary thrusts would be HIV/AIDS awareness. So we had the clinic thing, like people were still scared to get a free test.
Yeah, when I had my free test, I was kind of really scared.
Yeah.
But when I had it second time, I'm like, oh, this is 4 months. Yeah, so I guess what I can say is thank you. I mean, it always comes from the very dark place, from a very, and sadly, it's not an isolated case. What happened to our friend is not an isolated case. It's happening around the country. It's happening around the world. So, and I guess it's the importance of really voicing up, really, you know, doing the effort, exerting the effort to be heard, not alone, but as a community. And we need allies to also really be with us.
But I think you need to hear Ren's story about coming out.
I was
Oh my
going to ask that.
God.
I was going to ask that because this is kind of very special to me as well because I know Renz is a very young when she's very young as a young kid. So I'm very
Oh.
interested. How was it when how was your journey?
How was my journey coming out? I think this is the first time I've ever really voiced out my journey. Maybe tiny things all throughout my life, but this is probably my first kind of like recalling my timeline. Growing up, I was what is this? The late '90s to that's my childhood. So it's a different landscape, so to say. Um, when I was born, when my brother was born, my mother was asking my grandmother if whatever happens to my child, I don't know what to do. And my grandmother told her, just love them no matter what. And that has always been the basis of her motherhood. So I have a very supportive mother and a very supportive family. But growing up, I definitely knew that I was different because all the things that these kids were talking about, or like at least my family was talking about crushes, for example. Like, what is a crush? And then they always say, oh, it's this very special friend. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I've had special friends. And they would toss me girl names, girl classmates. And I didn't know that there was a difference. So I just said, like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's my crush, whatever. And then went back to playing with Legos or whatever. And the concept of being like gay or bayot never really, it flew across my head because back then I was a precocious child. Not necessarily swishy, but different from the boys because they were rowdy and tough and like fought with each other. And I was in the corner reading. I love to read. Um, so whenever I was accused of, as at a young age, I was like, "Don't cross your legs because it makes you bayot." And I was like, "What's bayot?" And they could never answer me with like, no pun intended, a straight face. So I was always like, oh, okay, don't do that. Be normal friends with. I wanted to be best friends with. Um, and then suddenly these friends would turn their back on me for no spoken reasons, and I never knew exactly what triggered that. And so it was a place of hurt and pain and confusion. So I went towards my studies to kind of like focus away from that hurt. It was up until in college and I started to learn about uh, being gay, what's being gay like, being attracted to like the same sex. And then I started to realize that like, oh, maybe this particular friendship was informed by my queerness. And so I guess maybe when I started to get the language and read the experiences of other people, it kind of built the puzzle pieces of like the gaps that I had basically my entire life. Um, so it was very smooth for me. It because I was never really attracted to girls except for one. Like she was like, I guess she was pretty. And I knew that and I liked her because she was not like the other girls because she was willing to fight or be against like people who look down on her. And that was what attracted me to her. But other than her, I didn't have any crushes on any guys. But retrospectively, there were. Um, and I remember like when I found out that I was gay, I was just like, just admit it to yourself because it's the truth.
Yes.
Because like lying to yourself will cost you so much pain and time. And then when you figure that stuff out, for me, it was like smooth, no, not smooth sailing, but smoother than if I were to continue denying it. Yeah.
And I guess it's very interesting to know that all of us here we had girl crushes and we had boy crushes. And I think that's also that's something that we have to take note because again
It's a
it's the
spectrum.
attraction and the
It's a
desire
spectrum.
is
Yeah.
different.
It can be gay somewhere here.
Somewhere here,
So there's still
maybe a little
a
bit
bit
more
of
here.
sexuality there.
People are hot, regardless of what their gender is. There is a certain je ne sais
Yeah,
quoi.
I still have
It makes your
I
brain
need to.
tingle. Yeah.
I mean, you know, as some people are just really not. Yeah. I guess we have 15 minutes. Again, yes. Yes, I know. I think we can spend this time answering questions if we have questions from our audience online. By the way, shout out to those who are watching online. And yeah, okay. This is for Cleo. I kind of asked this already, but I guess that the question here is, how did you handle all the, if I ask you earlier,
I guess most of the time I just let them think what they want to think, believe what they want to believe. Anyways, whatever I do or whatever we do, people will always have something to say.
Yes.
amen.
Yes.
That is so true. When that during the time when I became more comfortable about my identity, about my sexuality, it became easier to say this. But before that, it was like, oh, but time will come that you will just have to say, whatever. Thank you, Cleo. Is there another question? Okay. Maybe
Read the question.
yeah, maybe one of you can answer this. What is your advice to those who are still in the closet and who are still hesitating about coming out? I need these two
Renz has a good
very
answer
old
to that.
terms. Yes,
For me, we have to question why there was a closet in the first place.
that's so true.
Why were we put in this box that we didn't subscribe to? Imagine being born and all of a sudden
You're in a
you're in the closet. Yeah.
Because we like the clothes inside.
Because we like the clothes inside. I think for anyone, your business is your business. What like what your preference is should um, be true to yourself, and whoever you are questioning, that's none of your business unless you want to get out of the closet. I, for one, have to advise that you have to feel your environment first and foremost. Are you in a country that is culturally homophobic? Or is your family supportive enough to like not kick you out of the house or like not disrespect your pronouns, for example? You have to have a feel of like who will be your allies when you come out.
Find your tribe.
And find your tribe, yes, because if you come out or if someone outs you, you might find yourself in a very unsafe and dangerous
That is so true.
situation. Parents will kick you out. You might be homeless. You might be subjected to violence.
Violence.
Yeah. So like there are many factors to add to that, and only you can determine when you're comfortable coming out, who you're comfortable coming out to, and if you ever find yourself in the position of being outed, um, just know that there are, even if you do not have anybody within your immediate environment, there are people online who love you and support you no matter who you are.
Yeah, and message probably to those who love to out some people, it's none of your business.
None of your business.
Daggers there. Daggers back.
Oh my God.
Yeah. This is. I mean, people have been talking about this, like closet, coming out, and then I guess let's just rethink and reevaluate these words and these terms because maybe we don't have to think about it anymore. Like
Straight people don't have to come out.
why do you?
Why should we?
Right.
Yeah.
Just born and live. no closets
And
involved.
enjoy.
And enjoy. And yeah, no need to come out. Thank you. Thank you for that. I think that's a very important message to those who are watching us right now. Okay, we have 10 more minutes, so I guess we can still entertain more questions. This one is okay. How can I support LGBTQ people without my own sexual orientation becoming an issue? This is quite vague. If I may rephrase it, is it like how can I support the gay community without people questioning if I'm gay as well? Or is that it? Oh, am I interpreting it correctly?
Yeah, I guess.
I think so, yeah.
I hope whoever
You know
asked
what?
this can expound.
What's fascinating is the straightest people I know who know they're straight, they're so comfortable with their sexuality, they are very supportive of their gay and lesbian friends.
Yes.
So that's one way I know that
Allies.
They're allies.
Yeah.
If you're worried about it, question. But maybe this is not why. Yes. Are you so worried?
I want to say more, but I don't want to.
Okay.
We have a little bit amount of time
You have
left.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
No, seriously, quickly. No, not anymore. Okay, let's move on to the next question. This is quite a very
Loaded.
loaded question. This might take
I
an
like the
entire
way-
episode. No, because in the morning, in our morning episode, we kind of answered this question of like transgender women joining
Pageant.
no sports
Sports.
of
Yeah.
women's sports.
I think
So-
Bing can.
I know
is the
she
best one
answered
to
that
answer
already this morning, but this is more particular on beauty pageants. Would
Let's
you want
start
to?
with Cleo.
Would
Do
you
you
want
have
to?
I
No, seriously, you can be very honest with the answer because even the LGBTQ community is very divided.
It's so broad.
It's
Yeah.
very divided about this topic. So maybe you can have your own views.
Personally, I don't have any problems with transgender people joining the specific pageants they want to join in, like a transgender woman like Miss Spain joining this universe. We have to move on with the times, and in the times, accept transgender women as real women. Then we need to accept that, and we need to be embracing of that. But I know that that's a very controversial answer, even among the LGBTQ. That is still a loaded question. But I just try. I don't know. I just would like to operate for the principle of be kind, be understanding, and if somebody wants to do this and
Yes.
it's not hurting anybody,
Yes.
and it kind of creates I don't know an interesting dimension to the thing that
That
is
they're
supposed to
entering.
happen.
Yeah.
Then
And the organizers allow.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there are no rules about it. Then go for it.
You want to add something?
I think I agree.
I'll just agree. I think we will agree. But thank you. I know that's a very loaded question.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
I mean, it's happening even in the drag world, right? I mean,
Oh.
for the longest time with RuPaul's Drag Race,
There
I
was
mean,
no
the
trans
idea
women.
of a trans
Or even a
woman
straight.
joining drag, joining RPDR was actually kind of
Controversial. Yeah.
controversial, but only when only when
Contestants.
participants in RPDR started coming out as trans. Like I don't know what season was that.
Season,
A lot,
started
many of them
season
already.
2.
Yeah, like the RuPaul and Wonder
producers, World of Wonder.
World of Wonder started like rethinking the initial bias against trans women joining drag, joining this drag competition, and now it's a very common thing now, and
That's
not,
true.
not, too, not too many participants
In
yet.
fact, a trans woman just won.
Yes, that's
The-
right. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Recent
Miss
All-Stars.
Rosales.
No,
All
Sonic.
Recent All Stars, yes,
Sonic
and
Club,
also the current season
Yeah,
14.
So it's accepted now. Not
Willow
it
Pill.
hasn't overwhelmed yet. The the casting because there's still regular either
We can
Cis men.
We can
cis
talk about
men doing drag,
Yeah.
but it's now accepted.
Yeah, there's one is straight man who
Yeah,
joined
for the
RPR,
first time ever, a
basically.
straight man joining our
Metamorphosis.
Yeah.
I like. I actually love it. Okay. I guess this is our. What are your thoughts on trans women wanting to be treated as biological women? I think we just kind of.
I think we have
answered that
to
maybe.
we have to get rid of the word biological women, because what is a biological woman, right?
That's another loaded
That
question.
sorry, that really angers me,
Yeah.
because you're reducing a person to what's in between their pants.
That's not.
And I hate that, because like a person is more than just the thing inside their underwear. I hate that we keep on policing people for what they are, for how they sound, for what they look like. It's very behind.
So
And when you say the word biological, even biologists and medical doctors still disagree with what is woman or man based on genital.
that's true.
Based on chromosome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so or chromosomes. They're still arguing about that even until today. So it's not definite. And you know what? One particular point in that particular question as well, the word conservative. We actually kind of tackled it a bit in the panel on same-sex civil partnership, which happened a few days ago. One particular panelist actually gave this thoughtful answer that, conservative Catholic society, probably in public they are, we pretend to be conservative, but actually, if you take a look at their private lives, these people who are the first ones to like go against same-sex relationship or sort of, they are probably the most immoral.
Debaucherous. Yeah.
Like they have so many mistresses. They publicly they try to imbue this idea of like a nuclear
Conservatism.
family,
Yeah.
man, woman, so on and so forth. But in their own lives, they have so many mistresses.
There's so many
Their families
wet
are all.
documents.
So that's like a bogus
Bogus.
identity. Conservative Catholic society. I don't really
It's
believe
virtue
in that.
So I guess
I don't think we're actually answering the question.
So I guess the answer to that question is let's just move on from that.
Yeah.
Yes. Treat women like women and treat women well. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, just treat everyone. with
Everyone.
respect.
Yes.
I guess just quickly, was religion ever a problem or was a struggle for you?
Yes.
Yes, it is until now.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess let's move on from that, so we don't have to struggle anymore. Okay? Okay, so wow, I know we can still talk about so many
We
things.
do go all night.
I know. I mean, from from the importance of pride to the struggles to trans women issues to the so many things. And this is exactly why we need platforms like this. Exactly why we need venues for discussion. Places where we can talk about it because even among us in the LGBTQ community, we still have to really, really discuss things
Yes.
as well among us, and of course for the bigger community and the world. So thank you so much for spending your time with us. I know yeah, it's late night here in Philippines, and you really came and Facebook and TikTok and all other social media platforms that we have. So thank you once again, Cleo. Thank you, Professor Ian, and thank you, thank you, Renz, for your time and for sharing with us your insights regarding this topic. Now, to all our audience, we hope you have learned something, and do not hesitate to reach out to us if you have questions or inquiries. You may also contact us through the different social media platforms. By the way, we're on LinkedIn as well, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and recently we're already in Pinterest. So you may also check out our contents there. You can also book an appointment with us through our website, OceanClick.biz. Thank you so much. And thank you, by the way, to all the local and international organizations who are creating Pride Month events, like 6200 Pride, Happy Humanist Alliance. Thank you so much for creating all these movements for the local community and of course globally as well. And we have gifts for you from us and in OceanClick for you, our guests. Thank you. Okay, let's get it. Um, you can open it later. It's a surprise.
Oh, okay. Wait.
So thank you so much.
You have a gift.
Home court advantage.
Home court disadvantage.
Oh,
Wala
yeah,
siyang
home court
gift.
disadvantage. For me as well. I'm just kidding. So thank you so much. Oh, we have also. Oh, thanks to all our audience out there. This is Opinong Bakan and this is Ocean Click TV. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.